What's up, Raider Nation? Welcome back to Silver and Black Today. I'm Scott Gulbransen, and we are locked in as training camp officially wraps. And the final preseason audition tonight sits right in front of us against the 49ers coming up in just a few hours. Are you ready for that last exhibition game? I know I am. That means the NFL season is upon us. Ooh, yeah, we got a couple weeks, but you know what? That's okay. We're ready for it. And I'm ready for you. Thanks for subscribing to the show. Wherever you listen on audio, look for Silver and Black Today. Thank you. Also, if you're watching us, give us that thumbs up to subscribe. And don't forget the notifications bell so you know when we have a new video. Let me know what you thought of my verdict videos. We're doing those, the Silver and Black verdicts once a week, where I just come on and give you 3 to 6 minutes of my argument on something. I really want your comments. Don't forget to call into the show, too, 702-900-7869. Plus, send your videos to mail@silverandblacktoday.com. All right, Tuesday was the last practice open to the media, shells only for the players. One more game left, of course, tonight against the San Francisco 49ers at Allegiant Stadium, 5 p.m. Pacific on Fox 5 in Las Vegas. And on NFL Plus, if you're outside the market. I don't think NFL Network's carrying it, but check your local listings or your online listings for that. But after that, yep, roster cut down day. That's 53 names. No more guessing. We've got the latest on Ashton Jeanty's ankle, some rookies who are making real noise late, open roster battles, and what we should be watching tonight against the 49ers. So let's get into it. First things first, the emotional moment from Sunday still lingers for many. Ashton Jeanty goes down, diving for a low Kirk Cousins pass, lands awkwardly, can't put weight on that right leg, and then the whole team takes a knee. Prayers, silence. That's not normal. That tells you what this kid means to this group. Now, fast forward to Tuesday, head coach Klint Kubiak finally speaks. Asked about the severity, asked about IR, asked about anything concrete. But in true Klint Kubiak nature, he keeps it tight. So here's Kubiak talking about Ashton Jeanty.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into the injuries. He's on the mend.
Is there any talk or conversation about starting the season on IR for Ashton?
Not going to talk about injuries. He's on the mend.
There was a point after he went down, you guys kind of all took a knee and took a moment. What initiated that, and who kind of led that? It looked like it was a prayer.
Yeah, said a prayer. Power of prayer. Yeah.
Like answers that you get? Like good news in that regard?
Yeah. Well, he always answers in his time.
And yes, he brought up the power of prayer. Man, Kubiak is an old school G. I love his non-answer answers. And I mean that. He gives zero shits. Zero. And I love that. And I know for some of you out there, look, I respect everybody's beliefs. I happen to be a believer. Klint Kubiak, long documented, very strong into his faith. I thought that, and with all due respect to the woman who asked the question at the end there about the prayer, why that's so strange to people befuddles me. And if you're not religious, totally fine. I don't care if you're an atheist or whatever. That's fine. You do you, no problem with it. But you will hear this more from Klint Kubiak. He's not somebody who comes forward. This is why I told you that I loved his approach to it, because he doesn't care. He's just who he is. He's true to himself. And the fact that this team knelt down in prayer when Jeanty got hurt reflects a little bit of that. A head coach, also, obviously, the players, too. But very cool. I love this, and I'll get into this a whole nother time. I might do a verdict on it because I just like Klint Kubiak's approach. And you notice this building doesn't have leaks. There's not a lot of crap coming out of Henderson anymore. This isn't Antonio Pierce, right? This is Klint Kubiak, all business, all professional. Now, back to the Jeanty injury. Reports from Ian Rappaport and others over the last few days say it's believed to be a low ankle sprain more than high. Good news. Not considered long-term. But there's still a real chance, I believe, he could miss week 1 against Miami. Hopeful, not certain. He did not practice Monday or Tuesday and into Wednesday. So the backfield just got a whole lot more interesting, and we'll do more on that in a second. But young players kept stacking. Fernando Mendoza, Darien Porter, Trey Stokes, Mike Washington Jr., Trey Zion III. Names you are going to hear a lot in the next 10 minutes because camp closed on a strong note, according to all the reports on the ground and that official reporter's notebook, if you will. Now, the real evaluation, there we go, starts on Thursday when they face the 49ers, of course, later at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. So we're going to see that tonight. But that's it. This becomes the game where many of these guys are fighting for their chance to be on the 53-man roster. It's a tough day. You'll see that some of the playing time will dictate to you where their mind is at because Coach Kubiak's not giving you any insight there, and we'll get to some more clips from him here in a second. Now, all right, let's dig into the injury and what it means for the running back group that we led off with talking about Ashton Jeanty. And that's a full picture as of right now because no official injury report until the regular season. So this is as good as it gets for us. That's all we're going to find out about Jeanty. We're not, and Kubiak's going to keep it tight-lipped. They don't want to give Miami any tips to whether or not he's going to play week 1. We will not know. We may not know. He might be considered questionable all week long leading up to that game, and then we won't know till they actually step on the field and give us the Raiders give us their official roster for that game. So we'll see how it goes. But with Jeanty's sideline, the last 2 practices, Mike Washington Jr. stepped into the first team work. Of course, the 4th-round rookie from Arkansas via New Mexico State and Buffalo has been one of the quieter success stories of camp, although I think in Raider Nation, not so quiet, and I've been talking a lot about it. Now, officially from Monday, they noted he filled the void well, especially as a pass catcher out of the backfield. That's one of the questions I had talked about over the last couple of weeks was he needed to get better, obviously, in the NFL with pass blocking, but also being able to catch the ball in the backfield, not one of his strong fortes. Running between the tackles, we know he's been incredible in the preseason and in camp, but not so much catching the ball. He just hadn't a lot of chance. We had to see if he could really run routes and do all that. But he did great as a catcher out of the backfield, including a red zone touchdown earlier in the week. And offensive coordinator Andrew Janocko praised his work ethic and the fact that the kid is in the room constantly studying film. Good sign. And I think also part of the rookie class here, the Fernando Mendoza effect of hey, we focus, we watch film, we are cerebral and physical. So that's good stuff. Preseason numbers have been solid too, obviously, for Mike Washington Jr. Over 8 yards a carry through the first 2 games. And Klint Kubiak was, of course, asked about Washington. And here we go. Here's Klint Kubiak.
Yeah, I think he's had a good camp, and we have to go see him play really good football on Thursday. But like you said, we got a lot of other guys that have to step up. Dylan, we got Himby, we got Dari. Omar's doing a great job coaching those guys and getting them ready.
All right, there you go. Quick clip there from the press conference the other day, the last press conference of camp. Of course, he mentioned Laube and Dari. Also in the mix there, Laube mixed some first team and second team, and the other guys more with the 2s and on. So depth wasn't always a point of emphasis this offseason. Now we get to see how it holds, right, in that running back room. You knew Jeanty and then Washington Jr., who's flashed nicely. So you felt good about 1 and 2. Now getting into 3 and 4, we'll see how it goes against San Francisco tonight at Allegiant Stadium. So that'll be interesting to follow. How much does this change week 1 planning becomes the question for you guys out there, right? If Jeanty's limited or out against Miami, Washington becomes the lead guy, the bell cow. That's a big, 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 big opportunity for a rookie in year 1. And so does the offense stay the same, or do we see more 2-back packages or extra tight ends to ease the load in week 1 if Jeanty can't go? That's one of the questions that we'll have to see. Kubiak's offense, and you guys know this because we've talked a lot about it this offseason since he was hired, loves versatility. We've already seen 13 personnel getting work. This could accelerate that. And a listener question for you guys later. And I want you guys to comment, call in, however you want to take part in the conversation, Raider Nation. Who are you most confident in behind Jeanty right now? Washington, Lauby, or Ugunabale? Who? All right? So we'll see. All right, from the backfield to the young guys who are forcing the issue, right? Because this is the game tonight where guys might go in on the bubble. And if they perform well, they might grab a roster spot. And special teams has a lot to do that. It goes underrated, especially in the preseason. But some of these guys, the way to make the team is through special teams. But this is where it gets fun. Late camp is where the film starts screaming, right? And we've talked a lot about him here. Trey Stokes, the second-round safety, Monday and into Tuesday, he was taking a crap ton of first-team reps. And we've talked about him. I wrote a story up, I'll link it down below for you, up on Sportsnaut about Stokes and where he's at. Yes, on the unofficial depth chart, he's 2 behind Palomao. But I think he's going to be your starter against Miami. I really do. Defensive coordinator Rob Leonard, he was complimentary using these words: consistent, playing faster, instincts showing up. I'm telling you, Stokes is a dog. He is going to be a guy. If I'm wrong on that, come back and tell me. But I'm really, really excited to see this kid, especially when the regular season gets underway. But if you think about it, Leonard's quotes essentially boil down to pushing him outside his comfort zone and noting that safeties are a big part of the defense because they are in the scheme. So Stokes is making the case for a real role, possibly even starting snaps early. So watch Trey Stokes. Now at corner, Darien Porter. Tuesday reports and into Wednesday called it a big day, especially Tuesday. He had a recovery speed to break up a would-be touchdown to Brock Bowers. So again, he was behind, comes in, catches up to Brock Bowers and makes a play. Another deflection on Jalen Naylor. 2 veterans. So his stock is rising in a young secondary that still has questions, no doubt. There's lots of questions. But Kubiak gave credit to pass game coordinator Joe Woods for the development of that group, and he deserves that. And I think this is where something that we talk about a lot, coaching, right? Coaching. We saw the other side of this last year under Pete Carroll with his son Brendan Carroll and how that offensive line was brutal. Coaching matters. Yes, you got to have the talent. Don't get me wrong. You have to have depth. Yes. But if you have good coaching, you see guys develop. Didn't see that last year. This year so far, you're seeing guys come in like Stokes, like Porter, and they're making progress. You see it before your eyes. You see it from the beat writers on the ground telling you that these guys are getting better. And that's not fluff. You know now this staff does not go to the podium on media availability days and blow smoke up your ass. They just don't. They are all business, and they're not going to overinflate anybody, and they're not going to come out and rip anybody. So I love that, and so that's where you are with your defensive backs. It'll be interesting to watch tonight. Now, Fernando Mendoza, the number 1 overall pick, he's stacking days, folks. Tight window throws, especially to Malik Benson. That connection, even though Malik Benson had the trouble in Houston, that connection between the two of them is very strong. Their chemistry has been one of the brightest spots of camp, really. Now, Benson's still a question mark, but he's a young player. If he can emerge quickly, that would help, obviously, the Raiders. at that wide receiver spot, which is weak. But if he doesn't and he develops and he gets better over time, that's fine too. Again, going back to my verdict video and podcast earlier this week, patience. Patience is hard. Yes, but it's there. But you think about Mendoza, mobility, scrambling, he's extending plays. And then tight end Ian Thomas, of course, he's a fellow Indiana guy, said his confidence is through the roof and the room is behind him. That's another underrated subplot here. How quickly is a rookie getting the room? Now, again, Fernando Mendoza should not start week 1. I know there's some of you arguing out there still, despite me being on this soapbox for a long time. Another piece I wrote up on Sportsnaut, i.e. Silver and Black Today, powered by Sportsnaut, by the way, was about this. Just, he shouldn't start. But anyway, what I love is even on days that weren't perfect earlier, the rebound has been there for Fernando Mendoza. This is a storyline I talk about every single episode. Every single story I write is about that. Now, the depth chart still lists Cousins as QB1, Mendoza QB2, O'Connell QB3. But the evaluation continues. And, of course, being the story, as I said for the last 3 months, would be the story no matter who starts, or if there's a chance that he starts, doesn't matter. It's going to be the story nationally, locally, everything. But here is Kubiak on who's quarterback 1. Oh, well, my audio's not working there. That's not going to help you guys. So there you go. Anyway, we'll get back to it. Sorry for the technical difficulties there. But he wouldn't give a quarterback 1. He said, hey, we're going out. We're doing this. We're doing that. Guys are competing. Guys are playing. Now, 2 camps. One camp's going to say, oh, see, Mendoza may start week 1. Oh, Kubiak's not saying anything. That's not good for Kirk Cousins. Other camp is, and this is the camp my feet are both in full bore, he's just not telling you. He wants to continue, as I said a couple episodes ago, he wants to continue Mendoza to be motivated and to work towards trying to be the starter. Even when Mendoza self-proclaims himself not ready. But again, old school G, Klint Kubiak, he ain't giving you crap. He's not giving the media, well, in a way, he's giving the media a lot of run room here because the national media will play this up as, oh, Fernando Mendoza, he could start. He refused. Earlier, he said Kirk Cousins was QB1. Now he's not committal. Whoa, boy. Guess what? Is it Fernando time? No. He's just playing this close to the vest. I love it. Hey, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I doubt it. So that's where the quarterback stuff is, and we might revisit that a little later. But hey, on the offensive line, Trey Zion III, a guy a lot of people were excited about, 3rd round offensive lineman. This guy is going to be important not as a starter, but as a rotational piece. Versatility is the word. It's a word Klint Kubiak has spoken a lot about, the entire coaching has. He lined up all over the line. Center, both guards, right tackle. They need that guy. And maybe Trey Zion is that guy. Size and flexibility could force him into the 53, even if he's not a day 1 starter. So watch Trey Zion. All the accounts, reports that I've read have highlighted him repeatedly in this final week. So if there's the right time to peak, if you're a player on the bubble or a young player trying to make his way onto the Raiders roster, you want to surge at the end. Memory, right? Yeah, they got film. They've been sitting there with these guys in camp the whole time. But if you come on strong at the end, when you know your job's on the line, always important. But now you know from Klint Kubiak, he wants guys to compete. Nobody's job is safe, he said. So if you rise to that challenge, to the expectation that this coaching staff has set for this Raiders roster, you're in a good spot. So Trey Zion appears to be there. But if you look at it, which of these rookies are locks right now before we get to the San Francisco game tonight? I think Stokes and Washington feel the closest, right? I think Zune is right there. But the question now becomes too, and we talked about Darien Porter earlier as well as a young player, but how many defensive backs do they keep? How many offensive linemen? This roster is young by design under Kubiak and GM John Spytek. The future is bright, but man, I got to tell you, cuts are cold. Undoubtedly, there will be some guys who worked hard, were right there, who are let go or put on the practice squad. And that's tough. I know for fans, too, you start to like players. And for those of you who went out to camp or have been following really closely, that hurts. Imagine the player. It hurts even worse, right? But there are very few jobs, in my view, that are fully settled, as Kubiak has said. That's been the theme from Leonard and Kubiak all camp. And this is why I said a little bit earlier, special teams still matter a lot. Special teams coach Joe DeCamillis has been getting extended periods, right? They've been watching these guys. They got to make room for people who can contribute on special teams, make the roster, even if they're not a player who gets a lot of playing time on either side of the ball. They need that. And there's been a couple years, you guys remember, even in the last 10 years, the Raiders special teams has been really poor. It's an important part of the game, right? So this is where these guys, these young guys who learning that they keep on the roster and develop at their position, but also if they contribute on the special teams, then even better. Now, right guard. Let's talk about that. Right guard remains a battle between Jackson, Powers, Johnson, and Caleb Rogers, with Zune's versatility floating around the whole line, right? And they asked Kubiak about the right guard competition.
Yeah, it continues. You know, this game will be really important for that battle. I know both those guys are going to play this year. We're counting on both of them as well as a lot of other guys. So this competition has only made them better and our team better.
It's still a battle. It's undecided. So tonight's a big deal. And they got another week too, but still, it's a big deal. He also touched on the edge rotation. Of course, that has Max Crosby, Malcolm Kuntz, Kwity Paye, K'Ron Crawford, and others mixing in. Secondary is fluid. We'll see after tonight. Official depth chart dropped on Monday, as I mentioned, ahead of the 49ers game. It's fluid as always, but it gives you a snapshot, right? Cousins under center. Jeanty still listed as the lead back. Porter and Stokes on the outside. Stokes getting safety love Thursday against the 49ers, to me, is really the final audition, the real final audition, right? We'll see how he does there. If he comes out and does well against that 49er team tonight, then it'll be good. But Kubiak was clear about the game tonight because they asked questions about who's playing, who's starting, blah, blah, blah. He said, hey, I don't want to talk about who's playing, who's not playing, but we'll see Thursday. That's what he said on Tuesday. So expect heavy evaluation of the bubble guys, right? And situational football, something else, and that has been a focus after earlier preseason issues. Execution in the red zone, third down, 2-minute. That's what they're going to be watching tonight. Oh, yeah, penalties, discipline, execution. The penalties, if the Raiders rack up penalties again tonight against the 49ers, like we've seen, unforced errors, that kind of stuff, that's not good. Now, especially for the guys who are trying to make the roster. If you're a bubble guy and you're out there and you're committing penalties, that hurts. Just another check in the reasons why we should not keep this guy box. But here's what I'm dialing in on tonight. Who gets the bulk of snaps with the ones and twos at quarterback? Special teams contributions any continued first-team work for Washington, Stokes, Porter, Mendoza, and, as I just mentioned, most of all, I want to see clean football. No more self-inflicted wounds. No. Cut day is coming fast after that. 53 names, some good players are going to get bad news. And so this game goes a long way to that. And these are the things you got to watch tonight. So wrapping up this whole pregame 49ers roster situation, camp is done. And for me, if I think about what stood out, the culture pieces stood out. That team knee for Jeanty says something. Young talent is developing under Kubiak and Leonard. And yes, there's no games yet, and the regular season is not going to be perfect. It's going to be hard. It's going to be rocky. But we do know the offense has pieces. The defense is competitive and physical. Now it gets real. And I got to say, for the first time, I'm optimistic about the overall direction in almost every way. This is a rebuild with real foundation being poured. I used that analogy all offseason, didn't I, folks? You can't build a house on sand. You got to build the house on a concrete foundation. They're pouring that now. Is it solidified? No. Can you walk all over it? Nah. But tonight matters, and cut down will tell us a lot about philosophy with this staff. Youth versus proven veterans, special teams value, and positional flexibility. And watch that last one, positional flexibility. We talked about Trey Zion III. So these are the things to watch for tonight and for this team. And again, the Raiders' schedule is brutal for them. It really is. 6 wins would be good, very good. 7 wins would be amazing. 8 wins would be a friggin' home run for this team, in my view. I know a lot of you think they can win 9, 10 games. Be a fan. I got nothing against that. God bless you. But it's going to be rough, and there's going to be ups and downs. The roller coaster of fandom, the roller coaster of a young NFL team rebuilding the right way. Yes. Mike Washington Jr. will make mistakes. Fernando Mendoza, when he does get playing time in the regular season, which will happen at some point, he'll throw an interception. He'll make a bad call. His inexperience will show. Go watch Peyton Manning, first year. Go watch some of these other guys who got to play early in their career and how they struggled. Didn't define them. It won't define Fernando Mendoza either. But I just think that you got to take the good with the bad, and you got to watch this team build. But and again, for those of you who are always glass half empty, no matter what I say, you're going to be negative. And I just believe, though, that the way they are doing this foundationally is the right way. I love what I see there. I love Kubiak's stoic press conferences. I love that he doesn't give us anything. And believe me, as somebody creating media, yeah, funny jokes, quotes, that stuff's all good because you can play it on your show. But it doesn't matter. I like that he's all business. He is the old school G. Close to the vest, not giving you anything to work with, not giving any teams bulletin boards. And particularly, you'll see throughout the course of the season, especially when there's adversity, players will not give other teams billboard material. So they're not going to come out and do that because they're going to follow the lead of their coach who set the expectation of how you act as a Raider in this building under this regime. So it's very exciting, but we get to finally see this team unfurl here pretty soon in the regular season. So there we go. We're going to get to one call here, the Raider Nation Court of Public Opinion. My good friend Anders from Oakland is up. Here is Anders.
Scott, Anders from Oakland, and hello to my fellow Scandinavian. Anyway, I think this whole like Mendoza debate is so silly. All I have to say is David Carr. True. Like, we now lost Jeanty for a few games, so we don't have that. We have a rookie quarterback who has taken about 14 snaps under center in his life. And we have a very seasoned quarterback in Kirk Cousins who will figure out a way to not get absolutely destroyed by whatever edge rusher is hitting him. And we are still discussing the fact that we should be playing Mendoza. I mean, I heard your public opinion about that. It's crazy. It makes no sense to me. Of course you have to play Cousins. And I just don't understand why we're discussing this. Let's see him play. Let's Mendoza figure out how to take a snap under center, for another 4 or 5 games, at least until Jeanty comes back. You're gonna have this guy behind an offensive line that we still are uncertain about, with a backup running back and an offensive scheme that these guys are still trying to learn. It makes absolutely no sense. Number one. Number two is, I thought Rob Leonard was supposed to be this incredible defensive line coach. And maybe I'm missing something, but our defensive line has been absolutely horrific. And yeah, Max Crosby, blah, 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 blah. If your entire defensive line is based on one guy, and you have coached the defensive line for, 3 or 4 years, and they still suck, and they get gashed for 7 yards a carry, I'm not sure that I'm buying into the whole Rob Leonard thing, but, prove me wrong. Anyway, I'd love your thoughts on both of those. Bye now.
All right, there's Anders in Oakland. Thanks, my friend, for the call. And listen, I'm going to start with the second piece there on Rob Leonard. I've seen a lot of people critical of him because of the performances in the preseason. And I'd say just wait a little bit because, number one, the Raiders, as I've said all along, could not address all of their needs in one offseason, particularly wide receiver and the interior of the defensive line. So I think that's a work in progress. Has it looked terrible at times? Yes. But there's also been some guys who stepped in and done pretty well. So I'd say reserve your judgment. I'm not saying don't be concerned about it. And you're right. You can't just have Max Crosby, but I think you're forgetting about Kwity Paye on the other side, who I think has still got some gas left in the tank. The linebacking core is going to be better as well, as long as they stay healthy. So Anders, I'd say on that one, I share your critical nature there, but I'd say give it a little bit of time, and we'll see. They don't have all the talent there, so we'll see if somebody can step up. Could it be bad? Yeah, it could be. But I want to see a little more evidence, if you will, before I make a judgment on that. Now, on the Mendoza thing, I agree with you, and this is where people forget. You see Mendoza do these good things, and he deserves credit for those, especially how he recovers from errors. But you're right. Offensive line, we don't know yet. We don't even know heading into tonight, the last preseason game, who the right guard is starting there. We don't know. And you want to throw your rookie quarterback in there. And you have a new center. I know Linderbaum's awesome, but this group, the offensive lines have to gel together. We've talked about this numerous years here on Silver and Black Today. And it takes time. And yes, you have Bowers. Jeanty, we don't know how long he's going to be out. Mike Washington Jr. looks like a good, fine young player. But you want to throw your long-term investment into that right away? Makes zero sense. And with all due respect to people who've played the game at the highest level, like Chris Sims, who says Mendoza should start day one, he's just dead wrong. I just disagree with him. I disagree with anybody who's saying that. Even if they got more football experience than I do, I'm just going based on the evidence, based on the stories over the last 10 years of young quarterbacks coming out into similar situations. Not good. So most of the arguments I see for it starting are media generated or emotional fans. Emotional fans, meaning they just want to see their guy. And I get that, but that's not an argument. That's an emotional reaction, not founded in reality, not founded in all of the breadcrumbs and the public evidence that this organization is not going to do it. They're just not going to do it. So, Anders, I'm there with you. We'll see Kirk Cousins start week 1. And how long he lasts is the question. That's going to be dependent on where the Raiders think Mendoza is and how Cousins, who runs this offense really well. I know Raider fans haven't seen it yet in the regular season, but the guy knows how to run this offense. He's so familiar with it, which is exactly why he was the right call to bring in as the veteran quarterback. These pieces will connect for a lot of you as the season starts to unfurl. You don't see it now, but you will. And then you can come back and say, Gully was right. You can pat me on the back instead of leaving comments about my set or my hair or Billy Bob Thornton or whatever. But that's the way it goes. So anyway, all right, Raider Nation, the last tune-up tonight against the 49ers at Allegiant Stadium in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. We'll get back with you after the game, and we'll talk about how it went, who showed out, and, of course, roster cut Sunday. So get ready for probably an evening post-roster cut live show. I'm going to do that. Probably do it from my house so you get to see my bookshelf or my kitchen or something. No studio for that. I'm just going to get on and go. But do me a favor, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you call in. Anders, nice call, man. I appreciate that. You can call in, too, be part of the show. 702-900-7869. 702-900-7869. We're back on the radio starting in a week, the 12th. So the day before the Raiders kick off the season against Miami, we will be live, the show will be live at 5 p.m. on 101.5 KDON in Las Vegas, so tune in for that. All different show from the podcast during the week. Completely new show, different type of content, everything. So make sure you're with us there. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast wherever you get it. We are a Believe podcast, by the way. Also on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, hit that thumbs up, and the notifications bell. All right, everybody, let's get on with the game tonight. I can't wait to see who balls out and if it gives us some clarity going into Sunday's cuts. For everybody at the Believe Network, also everybody here at Silver and Black today, I'm Scott Gulbransen. This has been another episode of the show. We appreciate you guys being with us. And as always, take care of one another out there. Be nice. It doesn't cost anything to support each other, to be nice. Go do that. Take care of each other, and I will talk to you Sunday after cuts. Take care, everybody.